How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Suncast is back after about what week and a half long break. Manny took some time for the mental class work, NAI softball work. Y'all know the deal, but we're back rolling. And not only are we back on our normal platforms of iPodcasts and Spotify, we have started a YouTube page. So if I have one regret over the last 2 years, and it is officially 2 years now, Suncast celebrated its 2 year anniversary a few days ago, March 18th. To March 18th, 2022, right there on that couch. Y'all can't see, but it's right there. Xavier Rodriguez, first pitcher in Weber baseball history to ever win a game in Lewis and Idaho, by the way. 7 innings, shutout ball against Westmount. Amazing. Beautiful. Amazing time, brother. We were over there on that couch, voice memos on the phone. This phone right, not this phone, but a phone right here, like this one. Obviously we've come a long way, but if I do have one regret, it is probably not going to YouTube. Main reason is because I started YouTube for NAISB and it has grown the podcast tremendously. We've broken into the top 15, knocking on the top 10% of podcasts in the
That's
US. Now, of course, it is kind of one of those charts that goes and then builds its
yeah.
way back up. No, we tried to do the video episodes on Twitter. Those just never really took off like I wanted them to, never really worked out. Stopped doing them. I think we'll have a lot more success on YouTube. So really excited for it. Manny, we have a lot to talk about. We've obviously not missed a lot of action, but we haven't recorded since a lot has happened. Obviously, Southeastern taking four against Weber and their pitching staff really now showing that they are one of the elite pitching staffs in NAI baseball. We're talking some about St. Thomas softball. Obviously, what they did against the Southeastern Fire week before last, and we're not going to talk much about game recaps or anything like that. Point of this episode, we'll get everybody caught back up on where we stand right now in the conference. It's obviously very on in conference play for baseball and for softball. We're also going to talk about some women's lax, and then we're going to talk about some scores for Sun Conference flag football because we already knew this was the best conference for flag football. There was zero debate. Now we have the best teams in the country, like one, two, three, maybe even four or five when you look at it. I'll tell you a little bit about the media poll for that. What my media poll submission was. I've been able to be a part of the NAI football media poll on that. I'll tell y'all my explanations a little bit on that. And again, now we've got more in the year. There's something we'll be able to do more of. I want to get some flag football coaches. I want to get some flag football players on. Big reason is we can't talk about y'all as much as others because we just don't know your stats. They're not there. So we want to start having some players on, some coaches on. So hit our lines, hit us up. Y'all know the deal. SIDs, hit us up. Y'all know what's going on. Anyways, Manny, let's get into it. We're gonna start talking baseball, and of course, we're going to head over. We'll start the conference standings. Number one is of course the Southeastern Fire at 8-0, 28-2. Technically, St. Thomas is second at 3-1, which is good. They took three against Ave Maria, but I think we all know things have not been going the way they are supposed to go or normally go down in Miami for the Bobcats. However, good start to conference play. Weber comes in third at 7-5. Four of those were four close losses to Southeastern, and then go down take three or four against Kaiser. Would have liked to have swept Kaiser, of course, but look, their bats got hot against Braden Matthews. His first just bad start, which hey, I'll take. If at this point in the year, do you want a bad start? No, but I trust B Matt. Just one of those things that lineup rocks. Their lineup rocks. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Florida Memorial's right behind Weber at 4-4. Ave Maria at 4-8. Things obviously not going the way Ave Maria wanted them to go in the first year of new coach McCormick taking over. Kaiser's 2-6. They're not so great non-conference schedule, maybe coming back to bite them a little bit. Now in conference play, 1-3 against Florida Memorial, 1-3 against Weber, which I think you'll take them one against number 4 team in the country, but still the Florida Memorial taking three from them is tough. Warner 0-4 in conference play. We'll see. Look, I'll say this about the Sun Conference baseball this year. Overall, I think, and this will be used as a soundbite, but that's fine. I think this is the worst Sun Conference baseball we've seen in now the 3 years covering the conference. However, this is still the best conference in NAIA baseball. It's that good. This is the best pitching. Two of the best pitching staffs I've seen in the conference, in Weber and Southeastern. I mean, Weber staff with the likes of Blaine Huter, Dylan Martin, Braden Matthews, who's been very solid, and big one, my boy Jonathan Batista, the UCF. Ever since he started throwing a slider, that's been dominant. He's looked good, but Manny, the Southeastern Fire have a pitching staff with a 2.5 ERA as a unit. That's ridiculous for this point of the year. Now, there is zero doubt. There is zero doubt this lineup is nowhere near what it was last year, definitely what it was 2 years ago. I'm here to tell everybody it does not matter. This staff is special. I mean, just looking at the top. Oh, by the way, we got the sheriff on this episode, Rob Adams. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. This is the episode with Rob Adams. Rob Adams, Steve's gonna come on with Manny and I here at the end of this. Get to talk to Rob. I think it's like his third or fourth time coming on, so y'all know him. But great because he's back. I mean, just looking at what he's doing right now, 2.13. He's 6-0. Man, he's dominating the strike zone better than probably what he was 2 years ago when he was the NAI Pitcher of the Year. 40 strikeouts and only 5 walks in 38 innings pitched. Like, he's not throwing a ton, but we have seen glimpses of him being able to go deep in games, which when you have the amount of arms that they have, they've had no stress to make their guys go more than 5, 6, maybe 7 innings. No need for it. Now, Kobe Reeves went 8 innings of 11 strikeout, no walk, no run ball against Weber in game 4. That's fine. I mean, he torched us. There's no other way to put it. But Manny, Darian Smith is putting together a year, and we knew. I think I knew after what he did up at the Cape Cod this summer when he posted like a sub-3 ERA in the Cape. It was like, all right, he's coming. He may come down here and have a special year. Dude, he's sitting 90, 92, 94. He's got a wipeout slider and a disgusting changeup. My one thing with Darian, does he maybe throw too many strikes sometimes? Does he maybe throw the slider in the zone too much? I mean, maybe, but the guy's got 71 strikeouts and 47 innings pitched. And then you look at who he's faced. He hasn't exactly been throwing to the death and blind. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been going up against top lineups in the NAI, absolutely torching them, holding an opponent to a batting average of 148. It's funny. Had a guy hit me up who's looking to build up his summer ball team, and he was like, "Hey, tell me about Colby Martin, the guy throwing 101." And look, no disrespect to Colby, he is legit, and that's 101. And you don't see that often in NAI. But it's first guy I really know about being able to touch that since covering the sport. I'm sure there've been others, but I say, what the crazy thing is, I don't even know if he's one of their top 5 arms right now. Like, that's insane. That's an insane thing to say, but it's fair. It's a valid point. And there's a lot of great pitching. Max Sharnon at Florida Memorial just had another phenomenal start. He's got a sub-3 ERA. Warner evens. We know about Noah Harsh, now Massner for them starting to look good. Danny Galvin's going to keep Kaiser in games and with their lineup. Chuck Fishbaugh is another guy for them. They're going to need Chuck to be big for sure out of the bullpen more for them in West Palm Beach. But I think Danny Galvin with that lineup, it makes Kaiser competitive. They're not going to hold on that number 12 ranking. I don't think they'll go down far. It'll be interesting to see where Weber and Kaiser end up, which y'all may, what's today? Say Tuesday or Wednesday?
Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. So we should find out pretty soon where everybody's ranked up at. Again, we're not entirely sure. Weber's not going to fall, maybe to 5 or 6. They're not going to be punished for losing 4 close games to Southeastern. Y'all come play 4 against Southeastern. Y'all come play 4 against Southeastern and tell me that they had to get saves in every game. Show me that. Let me see how many teams are going to do that this year. Warner almost did. How about Warner? They held it close. Telling you, this is just a different Southeastern Fire team this year. It's not the we're going to make you hate baseball. It's like there were times over the last couple of years like they would make you hate baseball where they would just go. Yeah, you remember last year in the conference tournament when Weber beat them 1-0, and they were
They
like,
came back.
brother, that sucked. That sucked. I felt bad for Kaiser more than anybody because they had to play him afterward and they won like 25-8 or
Oh
something.
my
And then come
God.
out the next day and they beat us in the ground. Nothing we could do. But yeah, I know. The pitching's been the big thing that has stood out to me. In Sun Conference play, it's just a little weird. It's like we really may not have a guy that's going to go hit 20, 25 home runs this year for Southeastern. I mean, of course, however, doesn't mean we're not going to have that because we do have some serious pop in the Sun Conference this year. I mean, Pablo Ruiz batting 358. He leads the conference with 13 home runs. Right behind him, David Leonardi and Francesco Barbieri from Ave Maria. I think Barbieri's got a real. I think Barbieri has a shot at winning Player of the Year. The only problem is I don't know where Ave Maria is going to end up falling at in the conference. If they're a 5 or 6 seed, I'm going to tell you he's not going to win it. It's just not going to happen. Kind of in a discussion. It'll be somebody from a Weber or from a Southeastern who will be the 1 and 2. I'll go ahead and say this. I'll be shocked if we get to the conference tournament, the 1 seed's not Southeastern, and the 2 seed's not Weber. If that's not how things work out here in the conference, I'd be pretty surprised. Mostly because I look at Weber and it's like already swept Ave Maria, already took 3 or 4 from Kaiser. I'm not worried about those 4 losses against
Yeah,
South. Who
Southeastern's the
cares?
one you write in. You know those are gonna kind of happen.
And
And
honestly,
even still,
I think there's a real feeling between both squads. You want to win them. They don't care about those. I don't know if those 2 squads are going to really care about what happens in Fort Myers, to tell you the truth, because they both know what the ultimate goal is. Meet
yeah.
up in Lewiston and give me a heart attack. Yeah, like let's do that. Let's have some fun there, boys. Let's do that. But I tell you what, let's keep going. Let's look through some more stat leaders. Finishing up the rest of the top 5 for home runs. Palmer Hutchison from Kaiser has 10. Luis Rodriguez from St. Thomas has 10 as well. There's only guys in double digits. 4 RBIs. Palmer Hutchison. He also has got his name right back up here. 44 RBIs. Jonte Woods from Kaiser with 42 RBIs. And I know there's a lot of people shaking their heads. I know the dimensions of their field. I know the dimension of Kaiser and Southeastern's fields.
I
I
don't want
know it.
to.
We all know it. They're Cracker Jack boxes. I get it. Boom boxes, whatever you want to call them. I get it. I'm just letting y'all know the stats. Don't yell at me because we got two
Don't look
more
at
Kaiser
me.
guys.
Don't
Pablo,
shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger,
I'm
man.
just a messenger. I can't move their field back 30 feet. Pablo Ruiz is in third. 3 straight Seahawks. He's got 39, and then wrapping up another Kaiser Seahawk and Greenberg Simon. He's 1 RBI behind with 38, and then a pretty hefty drop off. You go to 30 with David Leonardi at 5, Edberry Guzman, Isaac Nunez, Barbieri, right there behind them with 27, 28 RBIs. Some Weber guys rounding out the top 10. Oh, Barbieri. Did I mention Barbieri? Yeah, Barbieri's right there. And then a couple Weber guys and Ryan Rescio and Tyron Milliner who play in big boy parks. 390 to center, 310 down the line, 315, something like that down the lines. But anyways, no, it's good stuff. You look over, I think something that's really kind of standing out to me is fielding percentage wise. You'll never guess who number 1 and number 2 in the conference are in fielding percentage. Weber at a 97%. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. 97 percent fielding percentage, 1,103 chances, and only 33 errors. And then Southeastern right behind them with 1,010 chances and 32 errors. So that's 97 and then 96%. That's where you want to be. If you're sitting at 96 or above, that's passing. Now we got some not so good grades after that. You have Ave Maria at 95, which isn't bad. You have Florida Memorial at 95, again, not bad. St. Thomas at 95, but it's not a very good 95. That's 49 errors. Then you look at some real problems. You look at some real problems in West Palm Beach and some uh, Warner. 93% ain't going to cut it. 69 errors and just over 1,000 chances. You're not going to win a lot of Sun Conference baseball games doing that. Kaiser, Kaiser's too talented to be booting the
To be,
ball.
yeah, they're too low for my liking to be that this good. Be the 12th team in the nation. Like it's just not gonna work.
And you know what's crazy is both those teams lead in double plays. But you know what really stands out to me with Warner and Kaiser? Man, they're letting people steal bases like thieves against them. St. Thomas too, and I know that's got to be frustrating for St. Thomas with the gloves and arms y'all have had back there over the last decade or so. But again, you kind of look at who I think the top four in the conference are right now with Southeastern, Weber, Ave Maria, and Florida Memorial. They're killing it. They're killing it holding runners. At least, at the very least, you look at Florida Memorial, they're doing a little more holding runners close. Um, but you look over like Warner, they 46 stolen base attempts, only nine throwouts. That's an 83.6% stolen base allowed percentage. Kaiser's right there with them, 43 attempts, 10 caught stealing bases, 81%. That's not good. However, something pretty interesting. Southeastern's had a little bit of trouble with this too. Now, I will say this: their pitchers, they work quick. It's hard to get. Their pitchers don't allow a lot of base runners. First of all, I do think it's been interesting because they have two good catchers back there in Pablo and David, but still, 20 stolen base attempts and only three times have they called somebody. So that's 87%. That's actually third worst in the conference behind St. Thomas and Florida Memorial. I'll say this: where Weber has the undoubtedly biggest advantage over anybody is in this category. Cameron Carroll and Josh Blackmore are two of the best defensive catchers in NAI baseball, and it's the reason why that they have there have been 23 stolen bases allowed, and they've caught 13 of them. So hitting at about a 63% on trying to steal bases. If they're only taking bases 60 something percent of the time, I'll take that. And a big
Hmm.
part of it too is Dylan, Braden, Blaine, Jonathan to an extent. I haven't seen Jonathan really get after throwing people off, but those three guys just do such a good job holding runners on, especially Dylan from the left side. Rob Adams, another guy from left side, is hard running on lefties. But even still, Blaine, Braden, righties that do a good job holding them on. But Manny, my biggest takeaway, I think we undoubtedly have what we had 2 years ago. Like last year, I know Weber was a 1 seed, but there was still doubts. It was like, all right, can this Weber team do it? Man, the development we've had in the bullpen has been that was my biggest worry was bullpen and bullpen depth. I knew coming in Seth Lovell was going to shove. I knew coming in Danny Rodriguez after seeing him in the fall, he was going to be a guy that shoved. What I didn't know was B Matt. Now, I knew Blaine and Dylan were going to be great starters. Jonathan Batista has been an unbelievable addition, and now Braden Matthews. I'll take those four starters over by any four in the country outside of Lakeland. Again, they're their own thing. They got a chance to be the great one of the best NAI baseball staffs ever. But that's not what's really impressed me. What's one impressed me is the defense. I already talked about that 97%, what the catcher's doing behind the plates. It's going to win us a lot of baseball games this year. What's really impressed me, though, Thomas Nelson, Hunter Youngblood. Those are two guys that have set up. Brighton Taylor leaving. I'm sure I'm leaving a couple more uh, guys off, but those three guys were guys coming in. Don't get me wrong, I love those three guys, but I was like, man, are we going to be able to trust them in big time situations? Answer to that, yep, absolutely. They have been phenomenal. I think Seth Lovell's one of the best relief pitchers in NAI baseball. And Danny Rodriguez is phenomenal. That's five guys I really trust coming out of the pen. Few other guys definitely that are out there and they don't give me too much anxiety, but I feel like those are five arms after the four arms I just mentioned. Like I think we can win a lot of baseball games. I think Weber is I think after now 3 4 game series, I feel a lot more confident in where we are in the staff moving forward. if that makes sense. Because I was scared of this 4 game set. I was like, oh crap, we're gonna get blown out in some game fours. We haven't yet. The only game Weber got blown out in was that game 2 against Kaiser, where baseball. Sometimes you start pitching.
Baseball. Perfect.
Sometimes you start pitching. Manny, your thoughts, especially on what's going on with St. Thomas right now.
It was at the beginning of the year when it came to St. Thomas, I was a little concerned, like off the rip. I didn't like how things were kind of playing, and it's kind of carried over. Now they have turned the corner, like you said, in conference play. I do think coming up this week or this weekend, they might have the biggest series just because you're going to play against a Kaiser team that they're ranked number 12 in the nation, like we talked about. They're one of the top teams in the conference, 3 at the highest, but they're still not hitting like Weber, like Southeastern are, at least right now. So if
Who,
you
St.
can
Thomas or Kaiser?
Kaiser.
I don't know, man. That lineup rocks.
When I say hitting, I mean metaphorically, not actually hitting, because
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
I
okay,
know they
okay,
are swinging
okay.
them things.
My bad.
We should probably use a different word for that. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
firing on all
Clarify.
cylinders.
Yeah,
Firing on
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
cylinders.
there we go. Fire all cylinders. So if you can try and get yourself a situation where you win this series, where you go 2-2, you put yourselves in better situation. I think right now, it's like you said, the pitching for the conference has been at an all-time high. Meanwhile, St. Thomas pitching has just not been there. I'm using the NAIA official numbers, so it might be off by a few points here or there. Right now, St. Thomas ranked 5.23. Like, that's just not going to work in this conference the way Southeastern's throwing, the way Weber's throwing. Ave Maria, even though they haven't really gotten out the gates in conference, we still know what they can bring. And again,
Sure.
Kaiser and Florida Memorial. St. Thomas has always been the pitching thing. They're still trying to figure it out. I saw some errors in the beginning, towards the beginning of the season, that I didn't like. They've cleaned it up a little bit, but it's still not getting to what it needs to do. Could they find groove down the stretch here in conference? Of course, like you said, baseball, it happens.
Sure.
But if that's what you're banking on, then you're gonna be left looking like what happened, where did the season go by? Because we're already here. We're already in the conference play. We're already into 2, 3 series now. Things are kind of have to start moving now, because if you don't, you can still catch fire and you catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you can't really bank on that, especially in the conference where, and I thought about it the rankings came out. I said, Weber's here, man. Like they have jumped. They haven't just taken a step up. I believe they've jumped, and they are now in. And again, with Southeastern coming down a little bit, they've jumped, and it's coming. It's coming. I think we're on a collision course between those two teams. I know you're gonna be salivating for what's to come in a couple months here and beyond that, obviously, kind of looking ahead. But
Yeah.
I'll say it, they have been surpassed in the conference. Last year, Ave Maria kind of came onto the scene and they were really making some noise. Again, not having the same start this year, but we know what they can bring. Kaiser's always been Kaiser. They've always been middle of the pack. Now I think they're a little bit higher in the middle of the pack. And Weber's just jumped from that middle of the pack into the top 2 in the conference and battling right there with Southeastern, even though the series was a sweep. If you look at it and you looked at that series, you're like, no, they had to earn it. Right? Southeastern earned every single one of those wins, and that's all you could really ask for from Weber in this situation. So I love to see what's coming from the boys in green and what the Fire always bring. But I need to see my guys down here in St. Thomas really step up, and it's now or never. I really do think it's now or never. I know it's early in conference, but I just think if you're gonna make a push. And honestly, I'm not even thinking about the national. I'm not thinking about the World Series right now. I'm thinking about conference. I'm thinking about, we may not, this could be the soundbite that I give out. This, I don't know, or I understand the Sun Conference is still the best conference in baseball, but depending on how things play out, obviously you're gonna have your conference tournament champion. I think Southeastern is obviously gonna be in there whether they win it or not. They'll be in the World Series picture. Weber, I think, has really made a push. 3 teams for sure. Could we go more than that? Probably not, depending on
Opening
how things
round?
pan
Opening
out.
round? Oh, we're
Yeah,
sending 4 teams. Oh, we're sending
and
3 for sure.
yeah, 3 for sure.
Uh,
4 is where I'm
I,
like, okay, we can have a conversation. But even still, I don't think St. Thomas will rank in that 4. I don't even think they might
oh,
be
it
the
ain't gonna
fifth
be St.
team.
Thomas, brother. The only way
Exactly.
St. Thomas gets is if they win the tournament.
So they
And
got to
that
make a
ain't,
push now to really start turning the ship. And if they
yeah.
don't do that, things are going to be
Well,
not
I'll
looking so
say
good.
this. I had St. Thomas written down. I was ready to draw the line through them and write them off until they won 3 or 4 against Ave Maria. I don't know if that says more. I think that says more about St. Thomas than Ave, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
but still, you said something interesting about Weber being number 2. One, that's not even a debate anymore. Like that's done. this happened 2 years ago. Like this happened when
We saw the glimpse. We saw the glimpse.
when Weber went down to Miami Gardens 2 years ago and won that opening round. That was the start of the shift. And let me tell you something. I shook Colin Martin's hand quite a few times. He's got a firm grip. He ain't let go, and he hasn't. And now obviously Weber and their eyes are set on Lakeland, like everybody else. But I think definitely Southeastern, if they feel more pressure than anybody, it's going to be Weber. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just Ave Maria and St. Thomas just had so, I mean, poor, really, of a preseason. Ave Maria just didn't get to play a lot of games, but even still, just didn't have anything that really stuck up or really stood out. It's going to stick up when it comes to getting teams in opening rounds. Kaiser did kind of. I mean, their preseason was weak. I mean, Concordia of Nebraska was the only, you know, good team, not good, but like probably postseason level team that they played and they got wins. Good. I think the win against Weber is good for them. They really needed a sweep. I mean, Weber coming again, kind of like how Weber's not going to get punished for losing to Southeastern. Kaiser's not going to get punished for losing 3 games to Weber. But Manny, let's move on because we got a lot more to get into this episode. Let's talk about my favorite subject, my favorite sport in the whole wide world, softball, because them St. Thomas Bobcats are roaring right now, baby.
We go from a team that's struggling to St. Thomas team that I talked about Weber making that jump as being the number two. Again, it could be me being in the moment. It could just me really riding the wave, but I think St. Thomas has really jumped into that situation as well. Again, you mentioned I give a lot of credit to Coach JC. In 3 years, he's turned this program every year getting better and better. Now they're on the cusp of receiving votes. I think if they handle business this weekend against Florida Memorial, you continue to win. By the time these polls come out, they'll be in the top 25, sitting pretty right there. It's become a three-team race looking at the standings, where St. Thomas, Coastal, and Kaiser are all tied 5-1 in conference play. You jump over to overall records, that's where obviously the standings will come into play. Then Southeastern 4-2. Then you got Florida Memorial and Weber at 2-4 apiece. Warner 1-5, and Ave Maria 0-6 right now. Some of the things I've noticed again, Coastal. Well, I'll start with Coastal. Coastal's being Coastal. You know, number 18 in the nation. This is what they do. This is what they've done. They continue to really just ride the wave of Bryce Peacock. I do like what Riley Mills has really come in
He
and really
rocks.
helped.
Dude,
Just
I don't know where he keeps getting them. It's like
what a pick.
there's like two schools that are getting the best DPs in the country. Olu's got just a nuts duo out there. Now Coastal, they've had Bryce Peacock for now going on 4 years, and now they're getting Riley Mills, who's going to be one of the best two-way DPs in an AI softball over the next 4 seasons.
Exactly. I mean, Riley right now a 1.78 ERA. She's thrown 61. She was 35 strikeouts. Again, she's gonna. It's just I can see the passing of the guard now. I can see it now. You know, the conference was dealing with Bryce Peacock for the past years, and now it looks like Riley Mills is going to come in and it's going to work out perfectly. And again, they both are also doing it on offense. They're leading the team right now when it comes to RBIs. They're really the source of that. Riley right now with 12 doubles. She continues to show that even though she's a freshman, she's making these moves and making strides of being one of the names to watch for the next 4 years, next 3-4 years in this conference. Coastal, we all know they are the measuring stick. Like that's what it is.
Dude,
You
they're
want to
so
win.
young too. That's
You
the
want to
scary
win
part.
Sun Conference softball. You have to go through the Coastal Georgia Mariners. It's the way it works. Now, the one thing I will say, like I mentioned, Riley Mills 34 RBIs, Bryce Peacock 31 RBIs. After that, there's a drop off, but the drop off isn't something that you should really be worried about. You know, the next highest person is 17, but when you got two people that are average that combined right now are sitting at 65 RBIs, you don't need somebody else to go out for 20 or 25. That's just not going to be what they needs to do. What they are really good at though is getting on base. You know, you have about just over 5 people who are getting 10 or more walks already on the season. You get runners on base, and then you put up Bryce Peacock, you put up Riley Mills into the box. Good things tend to happen. Good things tend to happen. You start putting in runs, you start getting people up. And wow, and it's kind of a good segue into what I want to talk about my Bobcats. I love what I've seen. Anna Toon, what a sign. What a find for Coach JC. She's really just been, again, pitcher of the week this past week. She has really come into her her own. She's taking the circle by storm. I love what I've seen. The pitches she's throwing, the speed. One of those pitches who can also hit. She does a great job. She was the one who got on base with a double against the Warner Royals in the first game of the series, allowing for the Palacio RBI. But in that same breath, when it comes to the Bobcats, what I've noticed, you're really finding some struggles with the runs against the upper echelon of the conference when it comes to pitching. Obviously, you faced Madeline Morton this past weekend. It's no easy task to get hits on her. We understand that, but that's the common competition you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at that situation when you see Coastal Georgia come down at the end of the season, when you find them in the conference tournament. Southeastern, same thing. Even though they might be sputtering a little bit here, they're still not someone you can look over. They're still not somebody that they are always going to put somebody in the circle that you have to respect. So if the Bobcats cannot find ways, now again, you still gotta, as long as you find ways, there are such things as an ugly win. There are such things as wins where you just figure it out, and they figured it out this past weekend. So I definitely credit them for that. But I do want to see a little bit of a better shift when it comes to that from the Bobcat side of things. Meanwhile, the other team that's really kind of making some noise for me, the Kaiser Seahawks, they're kind of, I think, they and Southeastern are the ones that are fighting for that third seed as of I see right now. And it's funny because you look at the standings, at the stats, they're kind of flip-flopping. One is higher, one is lower, and then they look back at the next one, they compensate. So there's not really much of a gap. You know, I mean, I know Coastal Georgia is the measuring stick, like I said, but you see St. Thomas, you see Southeastern, you see Kaiser. Those are the four teams right now that we're looking at. Well, those are the three that are battling for that number one spot, trying to get over the Mariners. We mentioned for baseball, they're going to send three teams, four where we can have a conversation. And then after that is like a little bit of a long shot. For the Sun Conference for softball, I think Coastal's in whether they win the conference tournament or not. After that, though, assuming Coastal does win, can the Bobcats, can the Fire, Kaiser, I think, is the one that really needs it the most. But can those other two teams win an at-large bid? If you lose only to Coastal Georgia in the conference tournament, if you kind of have a good conference record, I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think those other three teams need that championship bid. It's just the way it works right now. That could be a good thing. You have a chip on your shoulder. You go in understanding that you cannot drop any of these games. I think the Bobcats, they needed that sweep against the Warner Royals. I don't think you can drop one. I think they need to sweep the Florida Memorial Lions this weekend. I don't think you can drop one. You have to almost have a perfect situation here for them to really give a good push. But other than that,
So let me tell you, there's one team in this conference that's got a shot of not winning the tournament outside of Coastal. Leave them alone. Coastal's going to be an opening round unless they just have an unbelievable debacle. There is one team that's got a shot, I think personally, of getting to an opening round and making a run and then going. I'll say two. I'll say two teams. One's the Southeastern Fire. The reason is they've gone through a gauntlet. They have some good wins. They've got some quality wins. The ratings committee is going to like that, and they've been there. They've been a part of the opening round. They've got players on their team. They were part of the World Series team 2 years ago. St. Thomas, I am worried about. I am very worried about St. Thomas's chance if it comes down to it. Now, the reason is it won't be because of their record. Y'all's record is going to rock, Manny. It's going to be great, barring a debacle. But for St. Thomas to make an opening round without winning the conference tournament, they've already taken two against Southeastern, so step one completed. They're going to need to take one or at least one. Really need to go up to Brunswick and take two. That last weekend. Yep, they go to
no,
Coastal.
they're coming here.
All right, they come to y'all. All right, so definitely a chance at the end of the year. Saw Weber do it. We saw the freshman for what the freshmen have they now have experience in Sun Conference play. We did see against Weber a little bit different. They kicked the ball around a little bit. It's actually seniors made some errors to help Weber get that walk-off win against them, but still. I don't know. I mean, Southeastern is just so hard to talk about because you look at it and all the numbers point to a team that can get to the opening round and get to a World Series. And I still believe they have that in them. The pitching is really special because they still got Alderman Claire, who are vets that you can trust. Now they have Eden, who has got some nasty stuff, a real good. So I don't even really know what the pitch is. To tell you the truth, it's like almost like a changeup with a little bit of a screwball roto to it. So it's working. I mean, she's a freshman with a 1.24 ERA, 40 strikeouts, 17 walks, and 68 innings pitched. Pretty good with a whip just above. Puts her at a whip right above one. I'll take that. And then Claire has gotten better as the season's gone on. She's gotten her ERA south of 2. She's put together 2 really good performances back-to-back weekends in Sun Conference play. Autumn Hunter, still Autumn Hunter, looking good. So yeah. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, it's tough for this conference right now. One, we just don't have a lot of teams. That's tough.
Yeah.
What, 8 teams?
Yeah, 8 teams, only 6 will make the tournament. It's just tough. It's just tough with that.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I'll say this, and I said this on NAISB. You better get us now. Like, you better get the Sunny Conference now because this is the weakest it's going to be for the next few years. I'm looking at the young talent Southeastern's got. I'm looking at the young talent uh, Coastal's got. No, those 2 programs. No, Kayla Watkins and Mike Minnick are going to keep their teams competitive. And I'm looking at the young programs, Weber, St. Thomas. Every other program's a young program, really.
Mhm.
Not in age wise as far as building the program outside like Flomo, obviously, but
Yeah.
just coaching wise, year 2 head coach at Kaiser, big strides. Year 3 head coach at St. Thomas, massive strides. Year 2 at Weber, big strides there. Now Weber's got 2 wins over top 20 competition with Coastal Georgia and Indiana Wesleyan earlier in the year. And Ave Maria's taken some steps in the right direction. I think Flomo's better than they were last year. You better get the conference while it's down now because it's the worst it's going to look over the next 3, 4 years, period.
And the one thing I've really noticed, and kind of a general comment for
Real
me.
quick, not to even mention New College of Florida, who I think
Oh,
Now look, are they going to be good to jump off? No, they're not. They're first year program this year, second year program. We'll see how they are. What I do know, that's a beautiful campus, and there's a lot of people that would like to live in Sarasota, Florida.
what? Come on now. Come on now. But then what I was gonna say was, and this is going for baseball and softball, and again, it's not like a crazy thing, but it just shows you when we talk about on both sides, teams that are continuing to grow, teams that are getting better, even a team like Southeastern, who it starts at the top. You know what I mean? I saw it firsthand when with St. Thomas, they were the perfect example for it, for a team that, they had some pedigree, they had some, you understand what they can do, but you had to find that person that could really unlock it. That's what Coach JC has done. And you see that now around the entire conference. You see these young programs when it comes to coaching experience with that program, obviously. They're slowly building it. They're slowly understanding that, all right, I got to find the pieces that I need to find. And the same thing for baseball. You see, for you, it would have been the Weber team. They had that run a few years ago. They understood, all right, we have something here. Now we lock in, we find the players we need to find, we develop what we need to develop, and now we're here. I really understand now just how important, and again, nothing crazy, it's an obvious thing, but I just really see now just how important the coaching side of baseball, of softball really is, of unlocking teams. Obviously, you have to, Coach JT likes to say that this formula is to throw strikes and make plays, but you got to find those players to throw those strikes. You got to find the players to make those plays on both sides of it for offense and defense. So I'm really looking forward to when we get into the thick of it, when we get into some of these series here, you're gonna see some chess moves. I'm sure you're gonna see some of these coaches really pull out the deep into their bag and really show you what they've been working on. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the pitching duels we're gonna have coming up in the softball. I'm excited to see these teams really go for it. I'm excited to see the defense be on display. Even some of the teams who are maybe not going to be in the conference picture tournament, so to speak, they can still play upset. They could still catch you, slack and give you a situation where they take one of the first 2, and now it's like, whoa, we're 7 innings or so away from dropping a game or dropping a series we're not supposed to. So I'm really excited to see where softball goes, continuing to have that situation of maybe not this year from a conference perspective, but next year, the year after. Sun Conference softball is really gonna come on to the national scene and be like, all right, before we knew it'd be 1, maybe 2. Now we're like, no, 2's for sure. The question now is 3, and hopefully that number continues to grow.
Well, I mean, we just got to get back where we were 2 years ago. I mean, we had 3 teams in the opening round 3 years ago with Coastal, Southeastern, and Weber. We sent 2 teams to the World Series. Last year, we had 2 teams. I think we'll get back to, I think we'll definitely get 2 teams. I think we can definitely get 2 teams. It's just St. Thomas has to make it to where there's just no way the committee leaves them out, which I am worried about with them being, not a blue blood. But again, we'll see. We do need to keep on moving because we got about 18 minutes before the sheriff Rob Adams and Stephen Cullen hop up on the Zoom call with us. So let's move on to women's lacrosse. Obviously, the big game, the big one this past weekend was SCAD beating Kaiser in a top five matchup, 19-11. Clark Hass led the way 6 goals for them. Life and Ave Maria, they both dominate. Take a quick look at the Sun Conference standings coming in at the top, and number 6 in the NAI are the Life Running Eagles. 10-2 overall, 3-0 in conference play. Behind them, the number 2 team in the country, the SCAD Bees from Savannah. They're 2-0, 7-5 overall. Ave Maria is 1-0. They are receiving votes 4-3 overall. Weber is 1-1, 7-3, receiving votes as well. St. Thomas behind them 1-2, 5-5 overall. Warner 0-4, 8-8 overall. And technically in last place in the conference are the 4th-ranked Kaiser Seahawks, because they're 0-1. They're lost to the number 2 team in the country, the SCAD Bees. Obviously, the 1, 2, 3 in this conference are Life, SCAD, and Kaiser, Ave Maria, and Weber. It's been nice seeing those. I tell you what, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun seeing the Weber lacrosse program build since I got here. Because man, I was joking about it with Coach Johnson. I was like, Coach, boy, you had told me a couple years ago this is where we'd be at. We sure would take it. And because Lord knows when it first started, I was like, man, we got a long way to go in the women's lacrosse department. But shout out her, shout out that team. We will actually be having some Weber women's lacrosse players on very soon. I've talked to them. They're obviously real busy right now with their schedule, but we're gonna have some Weber women's lacrosse players on. Again, reach out to us. I got softball and baseball connects, got a ton of them, but hey, y'all reach out to us. We'd love to have on some women's lacrosse players as well. But Manny, I did actually get to go see that Life game against where I was like, hey, I got a little time before I head over to softball. I'll go over there and watch that. Weber still got a little way to go before they start cracking with some of these top 5 teams in the country. But let's just take a look at some of the leaders, looking at goals per game on the Sun Conference website. Bailey Dykes of Warner, she leads the conference with 48 goals in 8 games for a 6 goal per game average. Clark Hass right behind her, 43 goals in 10 games to give her a 4.3 goals per average. Just behind her at Life University, Lexi Santiago, just under 4 goals, but she is second in the conference in overall goals with 47 in 12 games. Bryce Gerber from Weber International knocking on that door as well, 35 goals in 9 games. Caitlin Schimler from St. Thomas. Did I say that right? Caitlin Schmealer?
Schmuler.
Schmealer? Schmealer. All right, from St. Thomas, 34 goals in 10 games. Alyssa Corrado has 34 from Life. Nicole Ortiz from Life also has 33. Those are all the only oh, there's a couple more. Hannah Schaefery, 18 goals in 7 games from Ave Maria. Alexandria Mazurczak with 17 goals in ninth place, and in 10th, Anise Berkeley from SCAD, 26 goals. Again, these were goal per game average. But yeah, that's top 10 for goals per game average. Some of your assist leaders, Keegan Plume has 33. Alicia Corrado from Life has 23. Bryce Gerber from Weber with 18. Abby Cannon from Kaiser, 17. Nicole Ortiz, Life, 16. And then Melina Isteriz from Kaiser with 10, and JoJo Schuler from St. Thomas with 10. Actually, right above them, these two have 11. Paige Peters from St. Thomas has 11. Ansley Jones from SCAD has 11. So yeah, look, let's get some goalies some love. Let's see some who's leading the save percentage. There we go. I like save percentage. Wow, we got over 50% here. Lorna Foles from SCAD. That's maybe why they're one of the top teams in the country with 50.1% save percentage. Pretty pretty solid. Jordan Davidson right behind her, 47%. Actually, Emily Dawson from St. Thomas has the second highest mark at 48%. Emily Durr, Ave Maria's keeper, 46%. 45% from Margaret Rowe from Warner with 45.3%. So something to look at there for women's lacrosse. Obviously, a growing sport, and it's another sport that the Sun Conference is knocking on the door of saying, "Hey, we're the best in this one as well, Manny."
No, yeah. Honestly, I unfortunately haven't been able to go out to catch any of the lacrosse games on campus for St. Thomas, but it's definitely on my list, especially now that things have opened up, now that basketball is over and everything. So I'm definitely looking forward to going out to Auto Nation Field and giving the ladies some love and showing, like you said, trying to build some connections and see if we can get people on, and not just in lacrosse, but in all those other sports we're still trying to show some love to.
All right, let's go to a sport we know we are we are undoubtedly the top bet. We had a feeling we were the top conference in NAIA flag football. Just we could not beat those headgum Ottawa Braves over the last 3 years. However, Manny, that tune has certainly changed in 2024.
It really, really has. And I mean, we'll start obviously with the quick recap on the standings. Right now, Warner Royals 4-0 in conference, 5-0 overall. Kaiser 3-0, 6-1 overall. St. Thomas 2-1, 7-1 overall. Also Weber at 2-1, 5-3 for the Warriors. Life 2-2. They're 2-5 overall. And then you got Thomas, Reinhardt, Florida Memorial at 1-2, 1-3, and 1-3 as well for the Lions. And then Point 0-4 right now, still trying to find their footing. But it's like you said, I think the biggest thing right now, at least two things for me. The Warner Royals are the team to beat. You're gonna have to see who can really hang with them for right now. The other thing is, like you mentioned, the conference is really taking it personal. I think there was a collective message when you play Ottawa. Go out and send a message. I mean, multiple teams have now outbeaten this group. St. Thomas, I know, was one of the more recent ones. Then you had Kaiser. Thomas also beat them. It shows where this conference, when it comes to flag football, was, and then where it is now in a very short time. I think this is third year in it for flag football in the conference. So each year it
Third or
has
fourth,
really
yeah. I
something
think
like that.
some
And
some
obviously
programs third, some fourth, I think.
at the beginning, we were talking about Thomas, we were talking about Kaiser, and those teams are still going to be there. But now we see that with the Warner Royals, I feel like have really taken that push. Obviously, still early in the conference when it comes to schedule and all that stuff. Today we're recording this on a Wednesday. The next really slate of games when it comes to conference are going to be St. Thomas versus Weber tomorrow, Thursday, and you also have Reinhardt versus Thomas. So we still got some games to figure things out. We still got some situations to see how teams will play. But I'm excited to see where it's at. I have caught some St. Thomas softball game, some St. Thomas flag football games. Exciting, actually. I think you really, when you're there, you understand it. It's a little bit harder to kind of explain it. I still remember last year, I was on the call when we played the Nighthawks in a thriller down the stretch when the Bobcats handed them their first loss of the season in flag football, and it was so much fun, so much excitement. A lot of these sports, honestly, when we talk about flag football, talk about lacrosse, the excitement factor, I think, is just not understand yet. And once it becomes realized, oh no, this really gives you a different vibe. That's when things really start getting going. So I'm excited to see where flag football goes the rest of the way. And right now, like I said, I think Warner is the sitting on top of the conference for a reason. We'll see if they stay up there as the weeks progress.
One last thing before we get into the interview with the sheriff, I want to give a shout out Ave Maria Beach Volleyball taking down the Weber Empire. The women's beach volleyball championship. So congratulations to them. Again, another sport. Let's get this plan. Let's have some fun the rest of this. Let's get some non-baseball, some non-softball. Let's get some lacrosse. Let's get some flag. Let's get some beach. Let's have a little fun. Let's have a little fun. But for the time being, Manny, we're about to talk to one of the premier NAI athletes, one of the premier NAI pitchers over the last few years. Argue when it's all said and done here in the 2020s, this guy could be on an all-decade team, much not just the Sun Conference, but in the NAIA. Let's kick it over. Steve's gonna hop on with this, but without further ado, here's our interview with the sheriff, Rob Adams. Okay, now I welcome on a very, very special guest. Guy y'all probably know. He's been on a couple of times, and a guy that knows how to huck a baseball, Mr. Stephen Cullen. You can tell us all about that. But Rob Adams, the sheriff, how we doing, Rob?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Awesome. So told Manny and Steve before we tried recording for a second time now. Had a little blooper reel to start us off. But I do have a story that I want to share with everybody that's not baseball, kind of baseball, but so you know Dawson, Young, right? I mean, former closer for Weber, all time great. Everybody postseason run 2 years ago, great guy. One of my good friends living here in Lake Wells. Well, he had his buddy Ryan, who before Weber, Dawson played at Cumberland's in Kentucky. So his buddy Ryan came down. Now Ryan's originally from Canada. So, of course, he had his passport, flew from Toronto to Orlando, and Dawson picked him up, came back to my apartment, and we were like, "Hey, we're gonna go golfing." Which, by the way, I'm swinging a golf club. We'll talk a little more about golf later, but we were like, "All right, so three of us go. One more of our buddies meet us up there, right?" We come back. I get back about 30 minutes before they do, and I had an interview with with a couple players and a coach from Madonna for softball. And I hear them come in, no problem. They know that they know I'm recording. They go to set's room. It's all good. I hear some commotion, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why is it why is there screaming and stuff going on right now? Didn't come up on the podcast. Thank God, no problem. All right, we get done. I'm like, I'll get what's going on? Like bear a pretty good excuse for this. See Ryan starting to cry and stuff, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's up, brother? Something made a grown man cry." And his passport was just torn to absolute shreds. Our dog Rue
Oh,
destroyed it.
Mm.
So he had to call the Canadian embassy down in Miami. They said, go ahead and cancel that flight Tuesday. That ain't happening. So he had to hop on a train from Winter Haven to Miami to go to the Canadian embassy yesterday to have a meeting. Actually, it's today because he had to stay the night, go there this morning. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, he's having a meeting down there trying to get back to he had to like fill out like a 15-page report to even get down there, and now he's got the meeting and all that. And yeah, so anybody wanting to travel, want to do any traveling, just keep your passport in your suitcase.
yeah. Oh my God, not the. Now, for the
Unbelievable.
people who don't understand why we're laughing so much, before this, Reagan literally just told me and Steven, it's not a dog and a passport. We were like, what does that even mean? We were so confused. It was a great setup. Wow, that's hilarious. That's crazy.
It's something, but yeah, I don't know. He'll be all right, I guess. I mean, I don't think he's in major trouble, but I don't know. If this everybody keep Ryan in your thoughts and prayers. Hopefully he gets on. He is positive about it. It's like, hey, back home it's like 32 degrees and snowing, and it's 75 and sunny down here. But
Yeah.
we'll take it. Hey, let's talk some baseball. Rob, another great year for Southeastern. However, it's a little bit different this year from last two years. You'd say, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we got to talk about you and the staff. The staff this year has just been ridiculous. And we had Reese, had Darian on earlier in the year to kind of talk about it. They hyped it up. It's lived up to expectations. I mean, we'll talk more about you and how you're doing this year, how good you're looking. But I guess start with Darian and then just go from there talking about this staff because it was frustrating for one weekend in particular for me, but other than that, it's been a lot of fun to watch and keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, Darian's on his game right now. He has been pretty much ever since he stepped foot on Southeastern's campus. He's just a workhorse. You can guarantee that when you go out there, you're going to get a good start out of him, a quality start. Reese, very similar, whether it's longer leaf, start a game to open or to close it at the end. I mean, he's pretty automatic. And these new guys that the coaching staff's brought in this year, it's kind of unbelievable. Each year that I've been here, I'm like, it can't get better. And then it does the next year. Just, I don't know how they do it or where they find these guys, but it's unbelievable the talent that they bring in. And I don't know, it's pretty cool to just be a part of such a special staff that we have this year. I mean, we got the velo for sure, and but it's not just the velo. We're beating guys in the zone with velo. It's not like, oh, they throw hard but they can't throw strikes. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, there's been instances of that this year, but it's everybody's locked in right now. It's really fun to watch from just an observant perspective, whether I'm in the dugout or on the chart or in the bullpen. Even if I'm not even throwing that day, it's just fun to watch. Show up at the park and watch because it's going to be fun either way.
It is different. I mean, and Steve, I mean, you talk about the team the last couple of years. I know how the lineup was the focal point. Good pitching for sure, helped out. But this year, I mean, Steve, you're from more of a alumni fan, whatever you want to call it, with you now. It's got to be pretty cool to see Southeastern win in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I was just the like team stat leaders just came out the other day, and like this is the first time in God knows how long that I haven't seen any offensive Southeastern like leading. Like it's just like they weren't on any, but you go to the pitching side and they're number one in every single category. So it's definitely like it's a new look for Southeastern, but I mean they're still just shoving it, dude. Like it's still
Yeah.
nothing new.
Yeah, it's like the record's the same. They're winning games kind of the same. It's just you don't have those 22 to 5 games. It's like they have a little
They
bit
didn't
of
go out there
those
and hit
close
7 home
ones.
runs in one game.
Right. Y'all had 2 close ones this weekend against Warner. What'd you think about Warner, Rob? Because I mean they definitely they kept things interesting those last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, I think those Saturday was because we played a doubleheader on Thursday and then a doubleheader on Saturday against those guys due to
Right.
some weather on Friday. Um, and I think that Saturday was one of those days that the offense just didn't really have a great day. They didn't have a bad day by any means, but it just wasn't one of those days for the offense.
Sure.
And I think it kind of showed where you know the pitching staff can step up, is able to step up, and kind of lock it in, get the job done either way. Whether the offense is there to bail us, not necessarily bailing them out, but not having them bail us out either. You know what I mean? And that's the main difference this year, I think, is that we're just finding a way to win games instead of just slugging people to death. So, I mean, it involves us a lot more, which I don't mind, but everybody's stepping up at the right times, and it's kind of falling into place right now.
No, I mean it's been something that I've seen really just for the past 2 years now. When I joined Suncast a year ago, and I'm just kind of curious, what does it say for the program side for you guys to, you talk about it, kind of a switch. We go from slugging people to death to now it's the pitching, it's the arms, it's the depth of the bullpen. Just talk a little bit about like what it says to the program, to the coaching staff to kind of understand like we're gonna make a shift. And for some people, there could be a step back, but we can all argue that the step was forward this time.
Yeah, I agree. At the beginning of this year or the beginning of the fall, we had our team meeting, and our head coach, Coach Dinkel, he made a comment that this year he wanted to beat people with a million paper cuts. He wanted to build a team that could beat you in a million different ways. And that's kind of been showcased here in the last couple weeks, with the small ball, with the two strike hits, the 2 out hits, those are what's key to winning baseball games, even late in the year and postseason or whatever. And when the offensive side of of things can get that done, it makes our job on the pitching side so much easier because then we can just go out and trust our stuff, and trust that we can get guys out on the bump. And with that mentality, I mean, it's really, really hard to get beat, unless, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that like it's you kind of embrace it, and once you embrace it, it's pretty much game over at that point.
Yeah, I don't want to say we've like bashed the offense or anything, but it's definitely like the offense. It's not what it was, but it's different in a way. And I like what you said, kind of the million paper cuts. With this team, in my opinion, from seeing them in person and watching and looking at stats and everything. But what I saw against Weber, this team does a really good job moving it to the next guy. It's not, all right, let's try to smash 300 in a gap all the time. Let's not try to, I mean, hit the home runs. That's why those numbers are down. Yeah. But, like two guys I was impressed with, one with the gloves, yeah, with like Delay and Munoz. But those two guys, they had two of the biggest ABs of the series, I would say, when y'all played us down here. We were up 6-5, top of the ninth, 8-9-1 due up. Usually like your odds when you're starting at 8-9, but Munoz, I mean, great AB. I think it was, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 pitches. Got it to a full count. Got one out of the zone. Took the walk. And then Matt Delay, who had, I'd say, a good of a hitting performance as anybody in that Weber series, and he's earning some more playing time in Lakeland. And he had that big base knock. And next thing you know, the runners on the corners, nobody out. And there's Pagoso, Nunez, Lanzarote. Like, you're done. That was it at that point. It was just Pagoso did his thing. And then Isaac, a little single to left field. Next thing you know, it's gone from 6-5 to 8-6, 9-6. So that's the thing that impressed me. And then obviously the next days, when Darian's on and when you're on, and good Lord, I mean, probably the most impressive pitcher, most impressive player of that series was Kobe Reeves coming out there pumping 92, 94 from the left side.
Yeah, I mean, he's special, man. He's got a lot of really good talent. His stuff is really, really good. He's actually my roommate, so I'm a little biased to him, I guess, but
that's the new Steve. Steve, that's your replacement.
Yeah, exactly.
The apartment's probably a lot more quieter.
Oh yeah. It's from one extreme to the next, from last year to this year.
But I love it. Rob, so let's talk about you, man, because no, 2 years ago, NAI Pitcher of the Year, World Series, all that. Last year battled a couple things injury wise. Definitely didn't. So had a great year. Didn't have the year you had 2 years ago. Man, I realized after that game, I was like, all right, what people have been saying is true. Rob looks back. You look good. I actually asked BJ, shout out BJ, y'all's athletic trainer, the big guy. I asked him, I was like, when's the last time you saw Rob throw like that? And he was like, oh, about 2-3 weeks ago. And I'm like, all right, now he's doing it. He got another good performance this weekend. Just tell me what's the difference and what you're feeling this year from last year. And I mean, obviously we know like what's working for you though.
I think the biggest thing's the weight room in the fall, over the summer leading up to getting to campus. Put in a lot of work this year versus last year, where in some of those aspects I kind of slacked off. No, I wouldn't say slacked off. I would just say I got complacent. And I kind of just last year I feel like I rolled into it just thinking that I was going to get it done either way, which I was humbled in most cases, which is fine. Sometimes it takes that, you got to learn the lessons the hard way. But this year, I just, being that it's, kind of the last go around, I wanted to not leave anything on the table, just kind of grind it, put in the work, see what happens. Maybe it could be like 22 again, maybe it could be better. Not necessarily to this point, but, still not a bad year by any means. And I'm just trying to focus on making the pitches, in the big situations. If there's guys in scoring position with less than 2 outs, focus on the guy at the plate, execute, don't let him beat me. That way I can minimize the traffic, minimize the damage in those scenarios. And it's been working so far. I mean, I think the velo's a little better than it was last year, and I think that adds to it as well. Just makes the off-speed stuff a little more effective. But I think the biggest thing's executing. And I've struggled a little bit this year with 2 strikes and 2 outs. It seems like about every start or every inning I get 2 guys out. That next guy might as well just walk and put him on, because he's guaranteed to get on base at this point right now.
That's just a
So that's the
classic
goal.
baseball mental thing. I feel like at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things I'm going through. That's kind of been the focus. That was one of the main focuses last week against Warner, and this coming week against Reinhardt. I'm try to just finish the inning, get 2 outs, get the guy in the box, whatever it takes. Don't give in, give those guys a second chance or a little more breathing room, just kind of keep the foot on the throat and keep throttling it.
Do you think so what you said there, kind of towards the beginning of that, you said that you kind of had that complacent feeling to an extent last year, which I get. You have that post World Series fatigue, and it was still a great year for you and y'all overall, finishing number 3 overall at the World Series is a tremendous, tremendous accomplishment, but not the ultimate goal for the Southeastern Fire baseball program, which was to do what y'all do and did 2 years ago and win the Red Banner. Do you think that feeling that you have now is something that's felt throughout pretty much the entire team of like, hey, we are a program that has the talent, has the coaching, has the resources, everything to win the Red Banner. There's no excuse for us not to at least be there again, competing for it and bringing one home.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the expectation um, for us as a team. I know that, there's been talks about the talent and how talented we are, but, Dinkle said it best the other day. He said, talent can only take you so far. At some point, it's got to be more than just the talent. You got to buy in. You got to want to do the little things right. You got to want to pass it on to the next guy, like we were saying earlier. And as we seen in that 9th inning against Weber, I mean, that's what we did, and that's what makes this team special. I mean, yeah, we can bunt the guy over and get the guys in, but in those scenarios with that high adversity, how do we adjust to it? How do we respond to it? And so far this season, we've responded well, and I think that's just kind of a testimony for like what kind of team this is, on the offensive side and the pitching side, because we've seen multiple occasions where the pitching staff has really buckled down and gotten the job done in order to win the game, just like against Weber when the offense did the same thing. And, I mean, we see it on both sides. And I think that the Red Banner and all that, like, that's kind of like just an unspoken expectation. I mean, we've been there the last 3 years now, and maybe even more. I think it's like 4 or 5. I'm not exactly sure. But, being there's an expectation, winning it's an expectation, but those are all end goals. I mean, we have four goals at the beginning of the year. We want the regular season championship, then we focus on conference, then a regional, then the World Series. And right now we're just trying to stay on a day-to-day basis, that way we can accomplish that first goal. And then once that first goal is done, then we can, move on to the conference tournament and try to be playing good ball at that point in time and accomplish that goal and keep the ball rolling. But I think everybody, to answer your question, everybody has that mentality. Everybody's wanting to do things the right way. That way we can get the job done at the end when it matters.
Kind of helps to start checking off that first box of regular season, coming to Babson Park and taking 4 right off the rip. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was needed, I'll say, for our
Yeah.
program.
Need. I don't know about needed. We would have liked 1 or 2. We would have liked 1. It would have been cool to beat you on the regular season once.
Yeah. You guys like to say that for the postseason, though.
That is true.
No, I think Rob kind of hit on a good point right there. Is and I feel like kind of we did this a little bit last year. Is like when you're sitting there thinking about like the end goals, like, oh, like we're gonna go win a World Series, we're gonna go win a World Series. There's so many games that can change that. Like you had like, and to think day to day, like that's the only way to go about it is just sit there and think about the next game you got. Because if you're sitting there thinking about 3-4 weeks away, there's a lot of stuff that could happen in between that.
Especially in this conference.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk a little bit about Warner. I know we've talked about that Weber Southeastern series, but it's the first time we've got to come on and really talk about that. I mean, what did you think about that series? I thought that was 4 phenomenal baseball games. That I mean, y'all just ultimately made a couple more pitches. I thought the defense was phenomenal. Manny and I just got done talking about what has separated Weber and Southeastern at this point. And one of them is defensively. I mean, it's 2 defenses hitting at a 97% click, which is incredible at this point of the year. It was a really good baseball. What did you think about overall that series, especially knowing going to have to face Weber again in Fort Myers and way things are going? Wouldn't be shocked at all to see There's a real chance these teams play 7, 8 times this year between 4 in the regular season, conference tournament, and then up in Lewiston, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I thought it was a good series. Their starting pitching was their key. That was our goal as an offense, was to get to their bullpen as quick as possible.
Yep.
Of course, that's our offensive goal with most of our conference series is, get the starter out of the game, get to the
Yep.
bullpen early. That way, later in the series, whether it's game 3 or game 4, when we're doing the same thing, getting to that bullpen, you know, the bullpen dwindles a little bit.
Sure.
And in those instances, which we kind of tried to prove this weekend, we had some hiccups a little bit offensively, but I mean, it wasn't a bad weekend overall. Like I was talking about earlier, we managed to find a way to get it done. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
Sure.
A win's a win. And Coach Dinkle says it best, wins are hard to come by. It doesn't matter who you're playing or where you're playing or what level. It doesn't matter. Wins are hard to come by. And, the fact that we're just somehow finding a way to edge these close games out or, win in dominant fashion. Either way, it's a good thing. And, it's progress and it's something to build on and to move forward on into these better series like this weekend where we got Reinhardt for 3 at their place. And, we're just kind of trying to build momentum rolling forward and keep building on it and, make adjustments as we go. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, just try to win baseball games because at the end of the day, that's the number one goal right now is to win the one we're in.
Right.
One thing I did want to ask, this year something new overall, and it's 4-game series now instead of 3-game series. Talk a little bit about that because you just mentioned the getting to the bullpen early. Well, you're adding a whole nother game now. That's definitely going to throw in a new wrinkle. And was that also a thought going into this year for the team of saying, look, now that we had this extra game, we're going to need a deeper bullpen to really be able to hang with some of these conference games?
I mean, the 4-game set, I like it better now, just because, I mean, you get to see these guys a little bit more. You get to see these hitters a little more. In my instance, if I'm throwing game 3, I get to watch, a doubleheader to see how they're reacting to swings, where they're at in the box, what they're doing with 2 strikes. How are our approaches changing with runners on base? I get to kind of take notes on all of these things. And for game 3 and 4 starters, I think that's big. You know, just those little mental notes throughout the first few games. And then we get to the depth side of things. And I can't personally answer that question because, I mean, that's kind of more for the coaches. But I think that they probably brought in more pitching for this 4-game series in conference. But um, it adds more variables for us to try to attack people instead of just, okay, we're going to go and, hit 8 home runs on the weekend, 10 home runs on the weekend and outslug these guys. Well, that's not really how our offense is set up right now. Granted, we can still do that. It's not like the talent's not there to do that, but we're trying to get them on, get them over, and get them in, and then let our pitchers work, because, we're comfortable with our depth
Mm.
and our bullpen, our confidence in our bullpen guys are as good as any. And we know that, we're probably have a little more depth than the teams that we're facing. So get to the bullpen because, once you get through their first few guys, not that the other guys aren't great or aren't good, but, we have a higher chance of succeeding against those bottom bullpen guys than
Right.
they're number 1 out of the bullpen or they're number 1, 2, or 3 starters. So I think that it's just kind of a mindset to go into it knowing that this isn't just one game. It's 4 and it's a lot of baseball in 4 games. So if you just win an inning at a time, focus on your ABs, your pitches to execute, then it all leads up and builds up to getting that starter out of the game, getting to the bullpen, and then taking advantage of that once the opportunity presents itself, and then letting our depth shine late in the series on the mound as well.
Yeah, and I think I mean, you look at MLB, 3-game series, 4-game series. Early on, if you can get that game one starter, and you rough him up and you get him out of there quick, and then they got to put in whatever the coach's strategy is. Now, maybe if it's like 10-0 in the fourth inning, you're probably not going to get your Reese or your Seth out of the bullpen then. But at the very least, you're burning through some guys. You're going to get to their top arms early on, and then next thing you know, games 3 or 4, you rough those starters up too. You're getting bottom of the bullpen guys, and it just is what it is. I don't care. Again, I don't care if we're talking AI, if we're talking SEC, if we're talking MLB. You do that. That's a simple recipe to win. But Rob, you're out of eligibility after this year. This is it, right?
Well,
12 years the max.
And what I'm saying, like, it's about time to get the sheriff out of here.
yeah, I mean, I think I got one more, but I'm done with school, man. I'm out of here.
What's the
You
plan?
actually have another?
Stephen, like, dang, bro, what?
I mean, technically, I had one more too, but I think they frown upon the 10th year.
Yeah, I think it's about time to hang them up or something. Just be done with school for now.
I hear that.
Books real quick.
I'm graduate. I have another month left, graduating in May, and I'm not. I may step back foot in a classroom, but I hope not. I hope I'm
done. Like
done.
it was before. It ain't gonna be like it was before.
That's
That's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So, Rob, you got any plans yet? Any thoughts on what's next?
I don't know, man. I've got a month to figure it out, I guess.
I hear that.
I think
maybe head up to Savannah with Steve.
Banana ball, baby.
Yeah, man, you never know. But I don't know. I think it kind of just depends on how this month goes with baseball and kind of where we end up this year. And
sure,
I'll make a decision at some point, I'm sure.
We'll see. He's already said he's got that another year. If they have another year like last year, they come in third or second, right close. We'll see. He's shaking his head. I don't know.
You get that itch. You get that itch that you finish third. You're like, yo, what's up? You know what? Maybe one more go around the sun. See what happens.
I'm pretty sure Isaac said he was done too, and look where he's at.
Yep.
All the guys are, yeah, man, we'll see you next year. I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
Dinkle and Dozer are listening to this like, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them back another year.
But then, so I'm curious. Then, what do you think that legacy of the sheriff is going to be? I know it's still got a few more games left in you for this season. But have you thought about kind of looking back a little bit and understanding that it's been a ride and it's been something that a lot of people are going to look back and say, man, those are some good old days.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm going to take away from it, I think. I mean, because at the end of the day, whatever happens in May or whenever, however far we go this year, whatever happens, I mean, it's been a good ride. I mean, I don't have any complaints or any regrets or anything like that. So, I mean, there's really no bad to take away from it. So, I mean, the way I look at it is people are going to talk either way once you're gone or when you're not in the room. And if you can give them good to talk about, then, I mean, that's all you can do, and people are going to find bad things to say or whatever. But if you can provide those people with good things to talk about, then that's all you can do. And that's, to me, kind of the definition of a legacy. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. That's kind of very similar to what Manny and I were just talking about with Suncast and like what we do, what we want to be known for, and all that. And it's like, yeah, doing what you can. People are going to talk positive, negative. You ain't doing it for the people talking negative though. You're doing it for your positive people. Rob, you've done great work on the mound. You've done a great work off the mound representing Southeastern baseball. You've been part of this podcast a few times now. As you know, you're always welcome back on. I'm sure when later on in the year, hopefully we get things rolling. But when we get things rolling in the postseason, probably get you back on, talk again. I'm sure shoot the crap a little bit more. But Steve, Manny, y'all got anything else for Rob before we send him on?
All good.
Keep shoving on, baby.
Yes, sir. Hey. Well, Mr. Rob Adams, keep doing your thing, brother. We gotta go golfing sometime, man. Like I said, I've just started figuring out the swing a little bit, getting into it, not completely embarrassing myself, not just out there for the refreshments at that point, having an excellent being able to swing it. But yeah, man, let's get it again. Thank you, Rob. Everybody listening, thank you. Thanks, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. 5 stars, iPodcast, Spotify. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day.